guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica if you are new here, and I'm super excited for today's video because we're talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is side hustles. We're going to talk about why it's important to start a side hustle if you want to in your 20s, why now is the time to do it, and some tips on how to get started. I actually made an entire podcast episode about this, going super in detail. But for this video, we're going to go over the basics and just kind of give you a rundown on everything. So I think we all know what a side hustle is or what a side job is. Obviously, it can be something like DoorDash or Uber Eats or doing grocery pickup. You can do things like that, but for this video, we're going to talk about things more on the small business side and things like Etsy or YouTube or a photography business, something that you want to start yourself so you can build up to hopefully someday be a full-time income. That's not to say those things like DoorDash can't be a full-time income, because I'm sure there are people that do that and make that work, but that's just not my expertise, and I don't really feel like I have all of the knowledge to talk on things like that. So we're gonna keep it more on the entrepreneur, small business side of things. I feel like our generation is so much more willing to start from the bottom and build their own business rather than working for a corporate company for their entire life. Not that that's a bad thing, I just feel like I see more people our age shifting from kind of the corporate world to the entrepreneur world. So let's talk about why it's so important to start now in your 20s, or maybe you're still in college or high school, whatever. The best time to start is now, and that is because this is something I went really in detail on my podcast about, but starting a side hustle now in your 20s is relatively low risk and high reward, because if you think about it, most of us, I'm not saying this is everyone, but most of us have a low amount of responsibilities. But we don't have things like marriages, at least most of us. I'm not married. We don't have kids or any sort of large responsibility. I know a lot of people do have student loans or things like that that they have to pay off, but that's a lot better than having an entire mortgage to pay on in your 20s. You're not really risking a whole lot when you start a side hustle or start a business in your 20s, because it's not like you have 5 kids to feed or a house you're trying to pay off. Obviously, we still have some responsibilities, but we're never going to have as little responsibilities as we do right now. I feel like as we get older, more and more responsibilities are going to come. So while you're young especially, and while you have all of this energy and motivation and time, you might as well start on whatever it is you're passionate about. Best case scenario, you work super hard throughout your 20s and this becomes either your full-time job or maybe just a really good extra income for you. Worst case scenario, you spent your 20s working on something that you're really passionate about, and you probably learned a lot, you probably grew a lot, you probably met a lot of people along the way. So even if this never turns into something huge for you, I still don't think there's a way that you can lose. I think our generation, meaning Gen Z, older Gen Z and younger millennials, are really drawn to side hustles because we're so driven by passion and fulfillment. We really want to do a job that we truly, truly love, so we try to turn our passions into a full-time position. And I think that's great, but I think the key word there is passion. So don't go after something that you're not passionate about, because it's probably not going to go very far. Don't go for something that you just think will make you a lot of money. I know a lot of people try to make YouTube videos because they think they will end up like Jake Paul or whoever, all of those millionaire YouTubers. That's not a good example, okay? Jake Paul, not a good example. But you know what I mean. A lot of people start YouTube channels in hopes of just making a ton of money, not because they're passionate about it. I can tell you, I'm 21 now, I have been filming videos and I've been on this platform since I was 16, and I have not made $1, not even 1 penny from YouTube or AdSense. or anything like that. So I can 100% assure you that I am here because I'm passionate about it, because I love it. And the same thing should be for you and whatever your side hustle is, whether it's like photography or starting an Etsy store or like an embroidery business, whatever it is, make sure that it's something that you truly enjoy and something that you could like see yourself doing long term and not get burnt out on it, if that makes sense. So let's get into tips on how to start a side hustle in your 20s. I think the first and biggest thing is you have to learn how to time manage and you have to learn how to prioritize. Kind of going along with that, you have to be okay with living that kind of lifestyle, that lifestyle of working 9 to 5 and then working on your side hustle from like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's definitely exhausting, and like I said, it's not for everyone. You have to have that passion. You have to be very self-motivated. This next tip is one of the hardest things to grasp, especially for me, and that is patience. You have to be okay with working on something for 5 years and not getting anywhere. It's something Gary Vee talks about a lot, and that is just if someone came up to you and told you your business is going to fail for the next 5 years, but on year 6, you're going to make it. You have to be okay with waiting those 5 years and putting in all of the time and the effort that it takes to get there. That is not an easy thing to do. Like I said earlier, I've been on this platform on and off since I was 16, and obviously I am no famous person. I haven't went viral. There are people who started 3 months ago who have exploded, and now YouTube is their full-time job. And that kind of goes along to my next tip, which is that comparison will absolutely kill your growth in whatever it is. I think my thought process with this, if you have time to compare yourself, you have time to improve yourself. So if I'm out here like comparing my analytics to someone else's, why am I doing that when I could be spending more time like improving my thumbnails or just making better content? If you're comparing your Instagram followers of your Etsy store to someone else's Etsy store, why are you spending your time doing that comparison when you could be working on your own shop, building your own following? Next tip is more of a straightforward, like practical tip, I guess. Not really a mindset tip, but that is just to never go in debt for your side hustle. This is something Catherine Manning talked about a lot. She opened up on her channel about how she went into credit card debt for her blogging business, and it was really eye-opening to like see and to hear about. Obviously it worked out for her, but it doesn't work out for everyone. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice, especially if you're in your 20s. You don't want to go into debt for anything that you don't have to, especially a side hustle. I know it's something that you're probably super passionate about, something you care about a lot, you believe in, but I promise it's not worth taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt just to like hope that your side hustle works out. I would rather like put in the extra time and effort that it takes to get there and know that I'm like financially safe and stable rather than like going into a bunch of debt for something that may not be 100% guaranteed. I know that's kind of tough to hear, but I think if you're in your 20s and you're wanting to start a side hustle, it can be really tempting to just put it all on a credit card and hope for the best, but that is never the good thing to do, never the right thing to do. I feel like I sound like a 50-year-old woman sitting here like lecturing you, but I just had to put that out there because I feel like some people may not know. The last tip I have for you if you're wanting to start a side hustle in your 20s is that action is always better than thinking, planning, and researching. I feel like us like coming out of school and like the college mindset, we're so used to like thinking about things and trying to research everything and like knowing the full plan before you start anything. But there comes a point when you just have to take action. I've mentioned a couple times I have a podcast. I had been wanting to start a podcast since like 2018 when podcasts really started picking up in the like lifestyle world, but I just kept putting it off because I was overthinking it. I was worried about what people would think about me. I felt like I needed to know everything about the podcasting world before starting. I think I decided on a name, got some cover art, and 2 weeks later I had my first episode up. Obviously, you want to have like a general idea in your mind, but in my opinion, it's always better to just take action, as much action as you can, rather than sitting there and just trying to like think about it and research it. Absolutely nothing is going to be perfect the first time you try it or even the second time you try it. And I think the biggest thing about having a side hustle or a small business is you really have to enjoy that process. You have to enjoy the process of like starting something and really seeing it all the way through. It's going to be really hard if you start something and then expect to just be this like billionaire by next week. That's another reason I talked so much about truly being passionate about what you're doing, because you have to enjoy that process. If I hated the process of filming a video, editing the thumbnail, the description, the title, if I hated that entire process, I would probably not be able to post videos twice a week. It's all about the journey, not the destination. What? There's like a saying that goes like that. I don't know what it is. Focus on the journey. I don't know. If you know what saying I'm talking about, please let me know in the comments, because I obviously can't think of it. That is all that I have for this video. I really hope it was helpful or motivating or inspiring in some way. Like I said, I have an entire podcast episode on this topic, and I even answered some of your guys' questions that you sent in. So if you're curious, you can go check out the podcast episode and subscribe to this channel, because I post twice a week, every Wednesday and Sunday at 4 p.m. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you again for watching. It means so much to me that you're here, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.